Our topic is unconscious prejudice against women. I'm Yunah.
And I'm Ida.
We have four parts. The first part is introduction.
And the first is introduction. And our purpose is we think that women's rights and voice should be more included in power and representation, and the unconscious prejudice against women should be more discussed. We want our audience to know that some of our inertial thinking towards women in our lives is actually biased. So maybe in our next slides, we may have some questions that we want you guys to think about. It's like why we think like this.
What most people think is that the female drivers will cause more car accidents, but is that real?
Actually, we found some data like the number of the drivers involving fatal crashes in the US. So from 2011 to 2017, we can see that the numbers of male drivers involved in fatal crashes is much more higher than the number of women drivers. It's like the average amount of male drivers is like 30 37,500, and the average of female drivers is like 12,500, which is a big contrast. So we have the question why people have these thoughts to these things and what makes us think like this.
There's another example. Most people are more likely to think that the one cooking in family is female. As we can see here, search result of cooking at home, like 7 out of 13 pictures are women cooking individually. But when we search about the chef, the results surprise us. Most pictures are the male chef. Why is that? In most families, women are the ones who cook, but when cooking becomes a job or profession, what we see is that there are only a few female chefs, and the whole page is dominated by male chefs.
And we have some facts.
First, let me introduce what LinkedIn is. LinkedIn is an American business and employment-oriented online service that operates via website and mobile apps. When looking at female and male candidates on LinkedIn, recruiters are 3% less likely to send a woman and male via viewing her profile, and 13% less likely to click on woman's profile when she shows up in search. Although recruiters will find women to be as qualified as men and reach out to both genders at a similar rate after they are done reading the profiles, the data shows that when recruiters are searching for candidates and they see a list of men and women, they tend to open men's LinkedIn profile more frequently.
And we have another fact is about the coronavirus and the gender equality in this pandemic. Is so we need to say it's more chores for women set back against inequality because women are doing more significantly more domestic chores and family care because of the impact of the pandemic. Because people think it's women in the family should to do the housework, but even before the pandemic, it was estimated that women were doing about the 3/4 of the 16 billion hours of unpaid work that are done each day around the world. And we have a map. We have a map of this data, and we can see that how much more time women spent on unpaid care work and chores than men before the COVID. For example, we can see that it's 4.8 times in Japan, 2.6 in China, Australia is like 1.8. So in other words, before coronavirus, for every 1 hour of unpaid work done by men, 3 hours was done by women. Now that figure is higher. It's like if it was more than 3 times as much as men before the pandemic, I assure you that the number has at least doubled in pandemic. And it says by Ms. Badia, the UN Women Deputy Executive Director. We also have a map that women are doing even more since COVID, and the proportion of women who say they're spending more time on at least one domestic chores since COVID of every countries, and we can see that in Philippines it's like 66 percentage higher, and in Indonesia it's about 65% higher. In Chile is about six. In Chile is about 76 percentage. So as a result of the pandemic, many women have fallen back to the idea that they should take care of their husbands and children at home, which worsen unconscious prejudice. And our last part is conclusion. So overall, we focused on the events and the facts about the prejudice against women and considered about why people thought like those. The way to change the situation is letting people know those thoughts are prejudice.
But the ways that enables people to know those inequality is hard because it's related to the power. Those who have more power will try their best to preserve their existing power. So the patriarchal society will most likely oppress any signs of feminism. So we conclude that the solution of these problems is making more people know those prejudices are prejudice, not only men, but also women. Those are the resources we used. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.